Hey guys, the Common Man here. So check out this knife that I just picked up. This is pretty sweet. So I actually got this from a local knife shop here in Maryland, and I've seen this online. I saw some pictures of it, and I think I saw it on the Blade HQ website. But I honestly didn't think it had been released yet. So when I saw this sitting in their case, I just had to look at it. And on first glance, if any of you are familiar with a Spyderco Spy Opera, you probably know where I'm going with this. This is a very similar design. The Spy Opera was a little bit more of like a gentleman's carry. It was a nicer occasion folder, and this certainly can fill that space. You can see it's a very good looking knife, and it's very kind of classy in its design in a lot of ways, but it also has kind of a, I don't know, it's a little bit more robust, a little bit tougher looking, and I really enjoy that. So I don't have a whole lot of details on the specs, honestly, so because I just picked it up. I didn't do a ton of research on it. So this is going to be just my first impressions, and I can tell you I can tell you I like it enough already that it's spent 2 days in my pocket, and yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it. So maybe this isn't a true first impressions because, like I said, I have carried it a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and give you my opinion as of as of basically 2 days of ownership. Overall, the fit and finish is beautiful. It feels so nice. You can see it's got a solid piece of micarta as this show side scale, and then the lock side is going to be titanium, I believe. I'm assuming it's titanium. I'm wondering if it says on the package here. Yeah, so it's micarta and titanium. Nice, lock bar there. Yeah, we won't go over. There's a couple of things that I don't love about it. There are little issues just initially that I've seen that I am going to cover because I'll go in more detail in the full review, and I will let you guys know if it still bothers me or not. But overall, I just think it looks so good. Like I said, it's that really nice kind of combination of a just a nice gentleman's kind of carry shape, I think, in the overall design of the knife. But then it has kind of a robust feel where it just feels like you're not really missing out on having a good solid knife if you really want to put it to work. And then one thing that's really cool, which I'm super happy to see because I'm not a big fan of flippers, honestly. I definitely have flippers in my collection and I use them, but this flipper tab is actually removable. So you can see it's got a screw there. Now, I know several other knives have done this in the past. I've never owned one that's like this, so I probably will remove that and see if I like that better. Um, but it is nice that they do that. They make it so you can take it off. I will say that the tuning for the flipper tab is pretty good. It's not perfect. I have had a soft deployment. You can see if you don't really send it, you're going to get a little bit of a soft deployment there where it may not fully open. But if you really kind of flip it with some purpose, it's going to open up on you pretty good. As far as the thumb, I guess thumb hole opening, it's tuned pretty well. Again, you do have to kind of be purposeful with it, but it will open up quite nicely. And then the reverse flick is like perfect. If you do the reverse flick on this knife, it's pretty much not going to fail. It's pretty much perfect. The action on it, I did notice right out of the box, was a little bit gritty, and it still is. You might be able to hear. I don't know if it's picking up that, but you do have a little bit of that gritty grinding sound. So I'm interested in seeing if that smooths out over time. I did buy this brand new, and I do absolutely tolerate a little bit of that grittiness when you get a knife right out of the box. Because it still has to break in. They're not going to break it in right at the factory, and some knives need to break in more than others. I don't know if that's the bearings making noises on their track on the blade, or if that's actually the detent. My assumption is it's probably the ball detent against the blade. And actually, let's go ahead. I've got my Tough Glide here. Let's just put a quick drop right on that detent. Right there. Just a tiny, tiny little bit. And let's see if that smooths it up. Well, it did make it a little bit, yeah, it did make it a little bit smoother. A little bit more drop shutty now. So we'll see. I'll play around with that and see if that improves over time. But you can see it drops to right about, oh boy, that's another thing we're going to talk about because that is a little frustrating with the knife. But anyway, you can see it drops pretty well to right about there, but then you really kind of have to shake it closed. Although if you send it with, yeah, if you're really purposeful with it, it'll drop home. So yeah, anyway, we'll play around with that and see how that goes over time. So the thumb or the flipper action is not, I don't really think it's the best, honestly. I think it could be a little bit better, but again, I'm probably going to remove that flipper tab because I just don't prefer flippers anyway. The other thing that it was kind of a bummer to me was that the disengagement for the lock bar, they give you a little cutout right down here. Well, that's a lot farther back than I really like to than I like to put on the lock bar. Usually for a lock bar disengagement, I like to be right up close to where it meets the blade, just for leverage purposes, because if you do it all the way back here, you kind of have to push a little bit harder than up here. And then also I've found I have held knives that when you disengage it, if you have to put your thumb all the way back here, I've noticed knives can be a little bit more prone to lock stick. That's just been in my experience, so I'm interested in seeing. It doesn't have lock stick right now, but I'm hoping it doesn't develop it over time. I highly doubt it though, and it does have a lock bar insert, which is nice. I'm sure that's a very hard steel. Again, these details, I'm going to do some research and get those for you in the full review. And while we're on things that I'm not totally loving, this big gap in the lock bar, I do wish that was a little bit smaller. I know that we have the technology now, we have the machining processes to have a very small gap there these days, and so it kind of stinks to see that massive gap in the lock bar. I don't think that looks very good, but we'll see. Over time, that may not become an issue, but it did bother me when I first held it in my hand. But overall, it feels really, really nice. I like the chamfering. I like all the rounded edges. The crowned spine is incredible. I don't mind the fact that there's not jimping because you have this big ramp for your thumb right there. Overall, I'm just super happy with it. I'm very glad they didn't put the glass breaker on there. I think that would have looked ridiculous on this knife. Pocket clip is very, very functional. I'm not loving the design of the pocket clip, but it's okay. It works really, really good. I'm glad they didn't go with a classic Spyderco pocket clip because I think that would have been terrible for this knife. But yeah, overall, guys, I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to carry it more. I think this is going to be kind of a nicer occasion carry for me because right now I sort of have a gap in that kind of spot in my collection. So we'll see if this serves that purpose well. I think it will. And then honestly, time will tell. If I keep it in my collection, that shows that I really, really love it. If I end up moving it along a little bit earlier, then maybe it's I don't know, not as great as I initially thought. But time will tell. Like I said, I will upload a full review of it in the near future. And anyway, yeah, so far I'm really, really loving it. And honestly, I haven't seen a whole lot on it, so I'm kind of surprised I was able to pick it up because I really didn't think it had been released yet. But anyway, I'm excited to have it in my hands. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. If you like the video, leave a like. Tell me what you think if you guys get a hold of one. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is there anything that I should watch out for, or things that are bugging you about this knife? Let me know. I love reading all your comments. And if you want to see more of my knife and EDC and occasional garage content, please consider subscribing. I greatly appreciate it.